Welcome back, my spooky souls, to another chilling episode. Tonight we're diving into the eerie world of deserted cafes, those once bustling hubs of caffeine and conversation now left vacant, or so we thought. Imagine the silence of a closed cafe, the lingering aroma of roasted beans hanging heavy in the air. Picture a shadowy figure moving through the stillness, a ghostly presence among the empty tables. These are the stories of those who dared to venture into deserted cafes and came face to face with the unexplainable. So, grab your warmest blanket, dim the lights, and maybe even pour yourself a comforting drink. Just be careful, you never know who or what might be joining you for a sip in the shadows. Our first tale takes us to a small town where a quaint little cafe named Benny's Bistro stood for nearly a century. Benny's was more than just a cafe. It was the heart and soul of the community, a place where locals gathered to share stories, laughter, and steaming mugs of coffee. But Benny's had a secret, a chilling legend whispered among the townsfolk, the legend of the phantom barista. It all began with the old owner, Benny himself. A kind-hearted man with a passion for coffee and a warm smile for every customer. Legend has it that Benny's spirit never truly left the cafe he loved so dearly. Late at night, long after the last customer had left and the lights were out, strange things would happen at Benny's. Locals passing by swore they saw a faint light flickering inside, accompanied by the distinct aroma of freshly brewed coffee. Some even claimed to hear the clatter of cups and saucers, as if someone was preparing a late-night brew. One brave group of teenagers decided to investigate the rumors. Armed with flashlights, they snuck into the alley behind Benny's just before midnight. Peeking through the back window, they were greeted by a sight that sent chills down their spines. There, behind the counter, stood a shadowy figure resembling an elderly man in a barista's apron. The teenagers watched in stunned silence as the figure expertly ground coffee beans, the rhythmic whir of the grinder echoing through the empty cafe. Suddenly, the figure turned, as if sensing their presence. The teenagers could have sworn they saw a pair of kind yet sorrowful eyes peering back at them. Then, just as quickly as it appeared, the figure vanished, leaving behind only the lingering scent of coffee and a bone-chilling silence. To this day, Benny's Bistro remains abandoned, a haunting reminder of the man who built it and the ghostly legend that continues to captivate the town. Our next tale transports us to the bustling streets of New Orleans, a city steeped in history, mystery, and a healthy dose of the supernatural. It's here we find Café Noir, a once popular jazz haunt tucked away on a dimly lit street in the French Quarter. Café Noir was known for its soulful music, strong chicory coffee, and an undeniable air of mystery that lingered long after the last notes faded. But behind the lively facade, a darkness brewed within its walls, a chilling presence that would eventually force its doors to close forever. It began subtly, with whispers among the staff of strange occurrences, glasses shattering inexplicably, instruments seemingly playing themselves, and a pervasive feeling of being watched from the shadows. Then came the sightings, fleeting glimpses of a shadowy figure always lurking in the same corner booth, a booth that remained strangely cold despite the cafe's warmth. The figure was described as a man, tall and gaunt, with piercing eyes that seemed to follow your every move. He was always dressed in a dark suit, his face obscured by a wide-brimmed hat. One fateful night, as the jazz band played a particularly mournful tune, a waitress named Marie swore she saw the figure rise from his booth. He glided across the room, his feet not seeming to touch the ground, and approached the stage. The music faltered, the musicians feeling an icy chill despite the heat of the stage lights. Marie watched in terror as the figure leaned towards the lead trumpeter, his unseen lips moving as if whispering a secret. The trumpeter, His face pale and beads of sweat forming on his brow, stumbled back, dropping his instrument with a deafening clang. That was the final straw. The band refused to play another note, the patrons fled into the night, and Café Noir fell silent. Desperate to salvage his business, the owner called in paranormal investigators, hoping to rid the café of its unwelcome guest. But the investigators left more disturbed than when they arrived. They spoke of a powerful negative energy tied to a tragic event from the past. Legend had it that Café Noir stood on the site of a former speakeasy, a place riddled with violence and despair during the Prohibition era. Unable to escape the haunting and unwilling to risk further tragedy, the owner closed Café Noir's doors for good. But some say that if you stand outside Café Noir late at night, you can still hear the faint strains of jazz music, a haunting melody played for an audience of one, the ghostly figure forever trapped in the corner booth. Our tale takes us to Tokyo, Japan, where amidst the neon lights and towering skyscrapers, a small cafe named the Corner Cup offered a quiet respite from the city's frenetic energy. The Corner Cup was a favorite among locals, known for its comforting atmosphere, delicious pastries, and the kind smile of its owner, Hana. But beneath the cafe's warm exterior, a chilling mystery brewed, centered around a customer who vanished without a trace. It was a stormy evening, rain lashing against the windows, when a man Hana had never seen before stepped inside. He was tall and slender, dressed in a long dark coat, his face obscured by the shadows of a wide-brimmed hat. He chose a table in the back and ordered a cup of the cafe's strongest coffee. Hana found the man's demeanor strange, even unnerving. His eyes, though hidden by the shadows, seemed to pierce through her, sending a shiver down her spine. He sat in silence, his gaze fixed on the rain-streaked window. He didn't touch his coffee, the steam rising from the cup like an ethereal spectre. As the night wore on and the storm raged outside, the other customers slowly trickled out, leaving the man alone in the cafe with Hana. She tried to engage him in conversation, but he remained unresponsive, his silence amplifying the unease that had settled over Hana. Just before closing time, the man rose from his seat and approached the counter. Hana braced herself, expecting him to finally speak, but he remained silent. He reached into his pocket and placed a single crisp bill on the counter, a generous payment for his untouched coffee. Then, without a word, he turned and walked towards the door. Hana watched as he stepped out into the storm, his figure swallowed by the darkness and the driving rain. She locked the door behind him, a strange sense of relief washing over her. But as she turned to continue her closing duties, she noticed something peculiar. The man's coat, the one he had been wearing moments ago, lay draped over the back of his chair, as if he had simply vanished into thin air. Panic surged through Hana. She rushed to the door, flinging it open, peering out into the storm. But the street was deserted, the man nowhere to be seen. Days turned into weeks, and the mysterious disappearance of the man in the dark coat became a haunting memory for Hana. She couldn't shake the feeling that something wasn't right, that the man's presence lingered within the cafe walls. Then, the strange occurrences began. Objects moved inexplicably. The aroma of coffee would waft through the cafe even when it wasn't brewing, and Hana swore she felt a cold spot near the table where the man had sat. Word of the strange happenings at the Corner Cup spread, and soon customers began to avoid the once cozy cafe. Fear had replaced the warmth and comfort that Hana had worked so hard to create. Desperate for answers, she sought the help of a local psychic, hoping to understand the unsettling events plaguing her cafe. The psychic, her eyes closed in deep concentration, spoke of a restless spirit, a soul tethered to the physical world by unfinished business. She claimed that the man in the dark coat had experienced a traumatic event near the cafe. his spirit unable to find peace. Armed with this knowledge, Hannah decided to honor the spirit's memory. She placed a small vase of fresh flowers on the table where he had sat, a gesture of peace and understanding. To her surprise, the strange occurrences ceased, the unsettling presence fading into a comforting calm. The corner cup eventually regained its warmth and charm, but the story of the spectral customer remained, a chilling reminder that even in the most bustling of cities, some mysteries are best left unsolved, and some customers, it seems, never truly leave. Thank you for joining us on this spine-tingling journey into the heart of haunted cafes. Remember, the next time you find yourself in a quiet cafe, take a moment to listen. You never know what whispers and shadows might be lurking just beneath the surface. If you enjoyed these stories, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell icon for more terrifying tales. Until next time, my fellow horror enthusiasts, stay safe and stay scared.